Hey guys, here's a quick preview of the new JB4PRO free app. When you launch the app, it'll try and connect to the car automatically. You can also press the connect button in the upper corner here. It'll then search for the JB4 and with luck find it. Now once it finds it, you'll see the gauges moving here. I just want to go over some basics on how the app works. If you want to change the gauge position, for example, I'm going to move speed to pedal, just tap it, slide it over, and they will swap spots. Here under the gear button, that's the settings page. Down at the bottom, we have all the gauge options. So for example, I could take off IT and add on fuel pressure high. And you'll see it appear there. New gauges right now always appear at the bottom, so you then have to swap it up where you want it. Over here, you select the gauge style. I usually use chart 60 seconds. I like that because it gives you sort of a visual indication as you go, and you can look down at the app later after a run and kind of see where you were without having to look at the log. A lot of our customers like the running style, so we've got that on there also. And of course, you can change the size. I like small because I want a lot of data in the view. Most customers may prefer medium. And you can play around there and see what works best for you, including the different options here. So the next thing to go over is logging. There's two ways to log. The first is by pressing the button manually. It's in the bottom right here. You'll see it says data log saved. Then when I go over to my log page, you'll see the log name with the runs one next to it. Tap that, and you can pull the log open. The next way to do it, and what most will do, is this auto logging on feature. I always leave that on. Let me go back to my chart gauges here. Small chart gauges. So when you floor it, it'll start automatically logging. It'll continue for 3 seconds after you let off. So let me see if I can do that here, sitting in idle. As you see, logging started. And we have 2 runs now. The log was saved. When viewing logs, it'll always pop up on the most recent run. You can scroll the log at the top here, and you can use the bottom to move the data points. We've added a lot of tuning information to it. So if you click on question marks, it'll show you some basic tuning stuff. It'll talk to you about the performance metrics, which is a really cool feature of the app that we're working on. Right now, for zoom, you have to use these buttons up here because the pinch to zoom wasn't working yet in Flutter, but I'm going to keep working on that. So soon in an update, you won't need those buttons. You can just pinch to zoom like you normally would. Next is the settings, user adjustment, I mean. We've added help functions next to each one so you can see what they are. And you just scroll along to see your settings here. If you launch the app and the settings aren't filling in, you probably didn't update your JB4 firmware. For the app to work with settings, it requires a firmware update. And we've got that listed in the firmware notes. But this all worked as you'd expect. Over here in the columns, we've got buttons at the bottom here. So if you want to do like a flat, or if you wanted to do like an average, say I would change that to 10, and I press the average button, it would average these all together. You press save to save all settings. Another nice feature here is this restore default settings button. If you press that, it will load up what we've saved as default settings for each page. It won't save it to the JB4 until you press save. I'm not going to press save because I don't want to save these default settings. But if you ever need to know what the defaults are, or if you have to go back to them, that's a nice way to do it. Okay, next we've got the basic settings page here. This all works as you'd expect. Read fault codes. I think I've got a couple codes stored here, so let's pull them up. Yep. That's for an evap thing I got to fix on this car. WMI purge is for those with WMI kits. Auto start and connect, self-explanatory. We've gone over the bottom here. Terms and conditions is down here. Devlog is interesting. If you have a technical issue with the car, with the app rather, you can view the log here, which shows you all the back-end data going back and forth. And then you can email that to us for support if there's a problem. Like if a gauge isn't working or if you're having some problem. The next thing I want to go over here is the, oh, you know what? I should jump over to the first thing I should have done, which was how to change maps. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just press the map button. Now, since this app is fully offline, I've hard-coded these names by platform. Not all platforms are filled in yet. So if your platform is not filled in yet, this will just say map 1, map 2, map 3 without the description. And I'll be adding those in as we go. Put this one back on map 2. Okay. The last thing I want to go over is firmware updates. They're a little different. So the way it works is you have to download the firmware first to the phone. Now if you push the download firmware button, this currently links to the JB4 mobile external website. I'm in the process of making our own external website, but I put this in here as sort of a placeholder so people can still use it. And this will look familiar where you can pull up your stable, beta, or alpha firmware. So I'll download the alpha, for example. Then you go back here and you would push flash downloader firmware. It'll bring up a list. On mine, I always have to press this week to show the most current one. It'll bring up a list of firmware you could load. So you'll click that. And then I'm not going to do it now because the car's running, but you just push flash firmware and then it would go through that update process. If it fails, it'll give you a retry prompt so you can retry. But that's pretty much everything here. We've got a lot more in store and coming. One more thing I might want to mention is the RSSI meter at the top up here. It shows you the signal strength. I'm interested in hearing how that is for you guys, especially on some of the problem platforms we've had where the JB4 Mobile had a hard time connecting and staying connected. So if you do have any connection issues, let me know how your RSSI looks, and we'll see if we can optimize that further. Thanks for watching.